Assalamualaikum everyone. We are looking again at this question: how is Albay different from Riba? Based on the Quranic commandment in Surah Al-Baqarah that God has permitted Albay but prohibit Riba. So for us to understand and to put this commandment into action, there must be some effort to understand the meaning behind these Quranic messages. And of course, what I'm doing here is to compare Albay with Riba using the thematic approach. And I'm using about 4 parameters to do that. And these are the contract parameter, and then the profit and risk parameter. So in the earlier videos, we also look at the economic growth parameter. And now we come to the 4th parameter, that is the income distribution. How Albay and how Riba is impacting income distribution. Well, generally, income distribution looks at the income gap between the rich and the poor. So we look at the income disparity that exists in society, where there are poor people, there are rich people, and the bigger the income gap, the worse it is for the economy. So we do not want to see the widening income gap between the rich and the poor. What we want to see is to eliminate this income disparity and to guarantee and to secure the society an economy where there is no poverty, right? Where there is a big middle class, and that would be the so-called objective that we would like to achieve in economic development of nations. So it is very important, since the Quran has prescribed Albay and prohibit Riba. So we need to see how this Quranic prescription have an impact on income distribution. So first, what we will be doing here is to look at the micro dimension of income distribution. That is, we are going to look at the benefits that the rich group or the rich income group and the poorer income group can derive from Albay and from Riba. And what will be the mudarat that may emerge from the use of Riba in economic development. As we have seen earlier, that Albay can be grouped into sale-based Albay, leasing, as well as partnership. And I was saying earlier that Albay is a real sector transaction, meaning that anything that has to do with sale, leasing, and partnership will directly impact economic growth and development. But at the same time, economic growth alone, will not be able to guarantee the elimination of poverty or the elimination of income gap between the rich and the poor. Sometimes we tend to believe that there is a trickle-down effect from economic growth, whereby the more the economy is producing goods and services, then people will become more and more well off, and there will be no there will be no extremism between the rich and the poor. But what we see in the current economic development of nation today, that there are countries that are in utter poverty and there are countries that are super rich. And why do we have this kind of income disparity? So this is essentially what we would like to see, how Albay will be able to remove the income gap because we should see that poverty is a disease. Poverty, is a curse to the society, because poverty can deprive people from opportunities, to seek education and learning, and poverty will deprive people from enjoying life as it should be, given the fact that a country is rich in raw materials, but then the people are in poverty, so there is this tension that occur in those country because of the system of political and financing hegemony that occur all the time in our global economy today. So how can Albay be impactful to income distribution in the removing of poverty? So we can say that Albay can be assessed by both the rich and the poor income group. So meaning that the use of Albay in banking, whether we are looking at the funding side or the financing side, when Albay is introduced in banking, then there will be financial inclusion, will be much broader, that can include the poorer income group that may not have any chance of gaining financial advantage when they are under the Riba banking system. So Albay can be assessed by both rich and poor income group, meaning that the rich income group should be able to use the true sale and true leasing and the partnership contract. The rich people will do investment and they will make use of the available financial product based on Albay, such as which is essentially retail and wholesale, leasing arrangement, as well as using the Mudarabah and Musyarakah contract to mobilize capital, right? So the mobilization of capital is through the Mudarabah and Musyarakah contract, while production, will be pursued by way of sale and purchases and leasing and production. So, but then we can ask, how can the poor be able to benefit from Albay? Of course, when the banking system is driven by Albay, then we will see that the assessment of financing for the poor, can be pursued using the Al-Qirat or the Mudarabah contract, because in a sense that the Mudarabah contract will allow the involvement of human capital, in the formulation of the partnership. And human capital is a big component of small businesses or medium-scale businesses or microfinancing, and the poor who have the effort, who got the so-called energy and the time and the ability to do business, and the skill, to cook or to sell and to acquire raw materials. So this skill and knowledge of the poorer people, can become part of the human capital that can be combined with money capital that is coming from the Islamic bank. So the Islamic bank will try to mobilize capital through the investment account fund, and this equity capital can be used to finance the small business or the microfinance business, where the partnership will now taking place between money capital coming from the investment account and human capital coming from the skill and knowledge of this poorer small business or poorer population. So this is a viable alternative because by virtue of the contract of mudarabah. It allows the sharing of losses and profit by virtue of injecting human capital. So money capital is not the only capital that can promise success, but then the poorer income group or the poorer population excuse me, should have this ability to improve their livelihood, you know, by joining into the mudarabah system that is made available by Islamic Bank. But when we look at the riba system, the interest-bearing commercial banking system, we can see that it is only prepared for the rich. The rich become richer as they have the asset to qualify for the loans at low interest rate. So the rich people, they have assets, they have collateral, they have stable jobs, and therefore they are eligible for all of the loan offered by the bank, and even at lower interest rate because they are not potential borrower with high credit risk. But then when loans are much more accessible to the rich, this is how they become rich and richer, whereas the poorer people, the working class, will have to struggle to obtain loan because they don't have the asset, they do not have the collateral. And if they were to be offered loans, they have to pay high interest rate due to their lower credit rating. And the working class people will put their money in the bank, which is credited from their employers, and usually a bank will pay low interest from this deposit placement with the bank. So the working class, the poorer population, you know, will have less access to the loans, to the riba loans, and that will make the poor poorer, whereas the rich who have asset and able to make to obtain more loans from the bank, they will get more opportunity in their business undertaking, and they will become richer. So this is the financial exclusion, you know, of the working classes, and this is how the riba system is acting in contra, you know, to the so-called target to remove poverty and to improve income distribution by reducing income disparity. So this is essentially, you know, what we can do to see if we can use empirical data. We can just run a regression between Gini coefficient, which is a measure of the income distribution, against loans and against deposit, or against Albay transaction that is undertaken in the Islamic Bank. Okay guys, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.